Spider-Man has been my favorite superhero for quite some time now for a multitude of reasons. For one, he's kinda funny. He's also pretty relatable, which I found most superheroes aren't. On top of that, Peter is also a science nerd like myself. I will admit I've only seen a few of the movies and played the 3DS port of Edge of Time, which was a way to play that, I suppose, along with The Amazing Spider-Man 2 that I never ended up beating but enjoyed my time with it. A majority of my Spidey info came from watching various YouTube videos on the other games. So when Sony announced Insomniac Games was working on a new one in 2016, I was pretty excited because it looked pretty promising. Not a whole lot of gameplay to go off of, but still a damn good reveal trailer. But thankfully, E3 the next year would show us all we need to see about Marvel Spider-Man to know it's in good hands. The only thing I wasn't liking so far was Spidey's patriotic suit, but it would grow on me over time and become one of my favorite Spidey suits. I didn't really watch any more of the trailers after that because I was sold on it, so I pre-ordered it and awaited the days till it came out eventually on September 7th, 2018. This is like my third playthrough of the game, but it's been a few years and I wanted a refresher on it, so I hope you enjoy my review on Marvel Spider-Man. Now, you're not gonna believe this, but you play as Spider-Man. Ladies and gentlemen, they've done it. A Spider-Man game where you play as Spider-Man. He's 8 years deep into this whole superhero thing and is finally brought with the opportunity to take down his longtime nemesis Wilson Fisk. And he succeeds. But man, oh man, do his problems not end there. Because a whole lot of villains get set on the loose and poor Spidey has got to stop them all while also trying to keep up with his normal life as Peter Parker. Which mostly involves helping Dr. Octavius with his plans to change the world. I know that's broken, but like, I could find some use for that. The story is pretty good. I think this portrayal of Peter Parker is one of my favorites. He's very relatable, being awkward in conversation and having girl problems. Also, everything from the extremely high octane moments to the hopeless feeling lows are very well performed by the whole cast. Although the peak of those moments are quite high, they mostly happen in the opening hours and in the back half, making the middle feel a little boring in turn. My other complaints with the story are that it gets broken up weirdly at certain points in the game that I'll talk about later, and some of the subtle hints they try to do for villains kinda just gave it away, which is unfortunate because those moments could have been heightened without knowing. The DLC adds a few more hours of story and focuses mainly on Hammerhead, and I wasn't really a fan of it. After the Black Cat episode, I just kept getting less interested as it went on. Hammerhead just didn't do it for me, and I also think there was a mix of me being burnt out on it. So maybe going back will help and I'll like it, but for now that's where I stand. Swinging around New York has never looked better and is also quite fun despite the simplicity. Once you start combining all his moves together, you'll be zipping around New York in no time and be able to see plenty of familiar places. There's plenty of activities to do as well, like collecting backpacks, taking pictures of landmarks, and cleaning out various hideouts. And it's pretty satisfying to clear them out since you can knock them out pretty quickly without going too far out of your way. And you're able to get an abundance of Spidey costumes with the various tokens on top of that. The side quests are unfortunately pretty repetitive and mostly involve you just tracking things down and only reward you with XP when the main missions already give you more than enough. The combat is pretty fun. There's a bit of customization with suit mods and powers, but the starting ones you get are pretty damn good, so I never really switched off of them. The overall gameplay is simple, but mostly effective. I like how the focus meter makes you choose between healing or instantly taking someone out with a finisher that feels satisfying to do because of the impact they have. Skills from the skill tree give you a bit more freedom, like being able to instantly take out gunmen after perfect dodging them, or returning rockets back to the sender. Unfortunately, their efforts to introduce a variety of enemies and some skills don't stop the combat from getting stale by the end of the game, and I wanted to kind of just get it over with. And stealth feels pretty shallow, only letting you do basic takedowns and being very easy because the AI isn't very smart. Poor Spidey will have to put a stop to the Sinister Six in some boss fights that are fun at first, but then quickly become a game of pattern recognition. But that doesn't stop them from having some cool moments and crazy looking visual areas. During some parts of the story, you'll take control of MJ or Miles, and I'm not really a fan of these sections. They're pretty boring being just stealth focused, but then again, the AI isn't that good, so it's pretty easy. They also just don't really add anything to the story and could have just been recapped in like a sentence or a few. I figured I would add my Spider-Man Miles Morales review at the end here since I didn't want to make a standalone video with how short it was, so here you go. The opening minutes to this game are kind of cool. Okay, it's a lot cool. Rhino escapes out of his cage and becomes the Grinch, destroying any and all things Christmas, so the spiders try to stop him. Unfortunately, Peter is washed and gets his ass absolutely handed to him, so Miles is forced to take the reins with his newly gained electric powers, making quick work of Rhino. Luckily, Pete's okay and gives a Christmas present to Miles, then leaves for a vacation. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. You look great, bud, but there. That's a better look. Shortly after that, Spider-Man runs into our lovely antagonist, the Underground, who we find out is led by the Tinkerer. Really? You couldn't come up with a better name? The fucking Tinkerer. Come on. It makes sense though, I guess. A dumb name for one of the dumbest villains. Spoilers for the end of the game incoming. Alright, so Miles lies to Finn, aka the Tinkerer, to get into her gang to find the new form, which eventually leads to a chase with Finn. Spider-Man does the big reveal, and then Finn gets pissed because Miles lied to her, which is fair. But then a few more events happen, which she assumes Miles has something to do with and doesn't trust him. Again, fair. The issue comes at the end of the game when Finn tries to blow up a Roxxon building using a healthy mix of new form and reactor, not knowing she's gonna blow up all of Harlem. And literally during the final battle, Krieger monologues about how he'll be fine even if all of Harlem blows up, but even after hearing that, she still decided to go through with it. Alright, got that off my chest, onto our regularly scheduled program. I found this gameplay to be more fun than Spider-Man 1 because there was more of a focus on melee combat with Venom powers. They are incredibly cool looking and very satisfying to do. Being able to dash into enemies and pop multiple in the air made combat feel more fast paced. And despite it looking OP as hell, I found the game to be not as easy as Spider-Man 1 most of the way through. It only felt overpowered by the end when you could just straight up nuke dudes. The stealth felt slightly better than the first game with the addition of camouflage, but still in general didn't do anything for me. I preferred to go in guns blazing. Swinging already felt pretty solid before, but they made it feel a bit more fluid. Tricks now You want to try that again, Spider-Man? Tricks now seamlessly transition into swinging and overall just feels faster with the additions of Venom jump and dash. And it was just very pretty to see New York in winter with all the lights up. Made it feel fresh and new despite me playing it right after the previous game. One last area that they improved a bit are side quests. It actually seemed like people were being helped and had actual storylines. And you can save a cat, and why wouldn't you want to do that? It's a cat, man. Not to be confused with Catwoman. I like both games for different reasons. What Spider-Man Miles Morales lacks in a compelling story, it makes up for in pretty fun gameplay. And what Spider-Man 1 not lacks in gameplay per se, it just didn't keep me engaged. But the story is what kept me going. However, both share one thing, and that's being my favorite superhero games. Like, Insomniac nailed the Spider-Man feeling, and the foundation they've built is pretty solid and leaves room to be expanded. Hopefully they make a sequel that takes everything they learned, and by golly gee, would you look at that. Just 1 year after the release of Spider-Man Miles Morales and a few months after Rift Apart came out, Insomniac made a small CG teaser for Spider-Man 2 that really didn't give any idea of how the game will play, but they did show a small taste of Venom. And we'd never see the game again. It doesn't exist? Sorry. Well, it didn't exist for about 2 years until they went balls to the wall, showing almost 11 minutes of gameplay that definitely sold me on the game, as if I wasn't from the number 2 being added to the title. I tried to stay away from most of the marketing since I was getting the game anyway, and I wanted to go in as blind as possible. Hey, they don't call me a genius. Nonetheless, it was a good idea because holy fuck, Spider-Man 2 is so damn good the whole way through. No more wasting time, I need to taste that 19 inches of venom now! The opening sequence is one of the sickest ways to start your sequel, and it gives just a taste of what they've been brewing up. Like, they didn't need to make the damn tutorial look this insane! It also hits on all the beats it needs to, showing the chemistry Pete and Miles have, getting you familiarized with the controls, an insane set piece to play in, and an epic boss fight, as well as setting up the villains. It's up there for one of my favorite openings to a game ever, and luckily the cool shit never seems to run out. None of the trailers really do justice to how good Spider-Man 2 feels to play, and they jam-pack New York with a lot of new activities and refreshing side content. I can't talk much about the main story because, you know, spoilers, and the game is too new that people are probably still playing it, so all I'll say is that this is hands down my favorite Spider-Man story. The epic moments hit so good, and the emotional scenes make you feel the sequel to Depression. And the story does pretty great at making both Spiders feel a part of the story, which was honestly my biggest worry. But it never felt like one was missing out on story stuff. They one-upped their game from the lackluster story missions of the 2018 game. No longer do they feel like tedious tasks that Spider-Man has to do. Now they're actual side stories, letting you get a better understanding of who you're helping and why. For instance, this lady lost their grandpa, and while trying to find clues to locate him, she'll talk about herself and her gramps. It's extremely wholesome, and a nice break from the action-packed story. It felt like every other cutscene was just some chaotic or epic thing going down, and obviously those moments are super memorable and exciting. But sometimes I like to wind down a bit, and some of these side stories are a great way to do that. I wish I could mention more that weren't just basic things because they're so cool, but I don't want to spoil it and ruin it for somebody, because some genuinely could have been main story material. But what I can talk about is how incredibly fun it is to swing around New York. It's never looked more realistic, mostly because you can't in real life, but goddamn does this game make it seem like you are. The streets are filled with pedestrians and vehicles, buildings give off accurate reflections. It's fucking absurd how good it looks. And now with the power of PS5, you're able to zoom across the city at Mach speed, along with the help of a few new tricks the Spider-Man picked up, like the web wings, a fun little loop-de-loop, and just fucking slingshotting yourself 30,000 miles per hour. On top of that, there's plenty of activities to do around the city, like the crimes that you're definitely familiar with from the first game. However, you don't need to do them if you don't want to, since this time around they're only for tech parts, which are used to get suits that now have some extra color options along with upgrades. And you can run into the other Spider-Man fighting a crime and join in the fun. The real juicy stuff comes from the new stuff they added, which shines some light on other villains that don't appear in the game's main story, and that alone makes it worth your time. But also, some are just fun to do, like the Mysterium combat challenges or the Hunter blinds, basically anything that let me do more of the combat. Speaking of which, it's quite the step up from the 2018 and 2020 game's combat. Miles Morales went for more of a focus on melee than gadgets, which I wasn't a fan of in the first game. However, they found a way to make both work in tandem together. The gadgets are a big improvement from the other games, mainly because they removed the gadget wheel, which is a sign that God is real. They combine pretty well with the abilities as well, being able to web up multiple enemies or group them up and then devastating them with one of your abilities never ceased to feel satisfying. Like, you don't understand, Miles isn't just Spider-Man anymore, he feels like a whole ass anime protagonist with the shit he's pulling off. Peter, I hate to say it, but you might be washed up. Hey, whoa, I didn't mean it, let's relax. The symbiote is so fucking cool, man. Hot take, but if killing people looks this badass, then I think he should kill more people. Honestly, it might be too good because I was a little sad when they took it away and I wasn't able to smash people into the ground anymore. I do like that they made this game quite a bit more difficult than its predecessors. Enemies can now take quite the beating and can give one back. Luckily, the Spider Pals have a few tricks up their sleeves, and by a few I mean 3 whole skill trees worth of tricks. I unfortunately didn't get any of the new moves until way late in the game since I was hyper focused on finishing their separate trees first. I would have loved to use the double takedowns, but alas, it was the last skill I got. Where were you when I needed you most, my beloved? Spider-Man 2 feels like the game everyone's gonna go back and look at to see what the current gen consoles are capable of. And rightfully so, since it's one of those games where it's unbelievable that you're controlling it because it looks so fucking insane and plays even better. It's a shame that some stuff from its predecessors was left out at launch, like being able to change the time of day after completing it. I've become a whore for photo modes as of late, so it was a bit upsetting not being able to change the weather or time to my liking. There is also no New Game Plus as of the time of writing. I was hoping it would because I wanted to replay it with all my abilities and whatnot. That would be so fun. But at least they plan on adding it later, so I'll definitely revisit it when that update comes out. Everything about this game is fantastic and easily takes the top spot on my podium as the best superhero game. Insomniac knocked it out of the park with this one, and it definitely has me excited for not only their Wolverine game, but also anything they do that's not superhero related. Yes, I will play Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart in the near future. So I hope you all look forward to that, and obviously I'm playing the Wolverine game as well. See you all in whatever video comes next. Bye bye!